Today I'll introduce zombie idea number 7. Our team or board always vote the same way. Zombie ideas are the ideas that refuse to die despite compelling evidence to the contrary. In my previous videos, I've introduced 6 zombie ideas in leadership. Zombie idea number 7 is the idea that if your team or board always votes the same way, you've got consensus and unity. This zombie idea clings to life despite clear evidence that unanimous votes are often a sign of deeper problems rather than genuine agreement. When a team or board consistently votes the same way, it may appear that you have strong consensus and that everyone is on the same page. It can give the impression that your team is unified. However, this consensus can actually be a red flag for something far more concerning: groupthink. Groupthink occurs when the desire for conformity to the majority view results in a dysfunctional decision-making process. Members of the group may suppress their own dissenting opinions, or they may avoid bringing up alternative perspectives out of fear of disrupting the apparent unity. This pressure to conform can lead to self-censorship, where individuals with valid concerns or innovative ideas choose to stay silent rather than risk being the odd one out. Conformity in a group is often driven by the fear of standing alone or the belief that challenging the majority view could lead to conflict or social isolation. This can be particularly pronounced if there is a dominant leader who implicitly or explicitly discourages disagreement, or if there is a culture that values unanimity over critical thinking. In those environments, team members may begin to prioritize agreement over the quality of the decisions being made, resulting in poor outcomes. For example, imagine a board meeting where every proposal is passed unanimously without much discussion or debate. While this may seem efficient, it could actually indicate that members are withholding concerns or alternative ideas that could have led to a better decision. Over time, this can create a vicious cycle where groupthink becomes entrenched and the organization becomes increasingly resistant to change, innovation, or addressing potential risk. Remember, the quality of a group decision is not evaluated based on whether the decision is made unanimously, but based on the thoroughness of the discussion and deliberation, the diversity of viewpoints and perspectives, and the extent to which potential risks and alternatives are critically evaluated. An effective group decision-making process includes open dialogue, the weighing of pros and cons, and the willingness to entertain dissenting opinions. It's about how well the group collectively engages with the issue, challenges assumptions, and arrives at a decision that's informed, balanced, and well-reasoned. Group members should focus on using the merit of the ideas to persuade and convince others. Over the course of this decision-making process, unanimity may be achieved. However, unanimity should be the byproduct of a robust decision-making process, not the goal itself. We often hear about the wisdom of the crowd, where collective input leads to better decisions. But it's important to recognize that not all group consensus reflects this ideal. In fact, when a group reaches consensus without critical evaluation and diverse viewpoints, it can lead to what's known as the madness of the crowd rather than its wisdom. The wisdom of the crowd depends on 3 key conditions that must be in place for collective decision-making to truly reflect the best possible outcomes: diversity of thought, independence of opinions, and decentralization of decision-making. First, diversity of thought means that the group must be composed of individuals with diverse perspectives, experiences, and expertise. It's important to point out that this diversity does not necessarily refer to demographic diversity, but rather to diversity of viewpoints and ways of thinking. If people look different but just think alike, that's not true viewpoint diversity. Only when individuals with different backgrounds and approaches contribute their unique insights is the group more likely to consider all angles of a problem. This intellectual diversity leads to a more comprehensive and well-rounded decision-making process because it encourages the exploration of different options and the challenge of assumptions. The second condition for the wisdom of the crowd is independence of opinions. For the crowd or group to be wise, each member must feel free to express their own thoughts and judgments without undue influence from others. This independence ensures that decisions are not swayed by a dominant voice or a desire to conform. It allows for more accurate aggregation of individual preferences. However, this condition is difficult to meet in organizations. Why? Because the inherent organizational structure is often tied to power and authority. In most organizations, there is a natural hierarchy where certain individuals hold more influence and power due to their position or status. This can create an environment where low-ranking members hesitate to voice dissenting opinions because they fear repercussions or simply feel that their perspectives carry less weight. For example, in a meeting where a senior executive strongly favors a particular course of action, other participants may feel pressured to agree even if they have valid concerns or alternative ideas. This dynamic can lead to groupthink, where decisions are made not based on the collective wisdom of the group, but rather on the influence of a few powerful voices. When someone says, "I outrank you," they are using their authority to shut down the conversation. This tactic leverages their position in the organizational hierarchy to override or dismiss other viewpoints. It effectively ends the discussion and prevents further input or debate. Pulling rank can stifle open communication and discourage others from sharing their opinions, which can result in a less collaborative and less effective decision-making process. Most of the time, high-ranking members don't explicitly say, "I outrank you," but they convey this message implicitly through their behaviors. They may dominate the conversation by speaking more often and at greater length. They may cut off or interrupt low-ranking members when they try to contribute. They may also subtly dismiss or ignore the input of others, making it clear that their own opinions carry more weight. Those behaviors reinforce the power dynamics within the group and create an environment where low-ranking members feel hesitant to voice their thoughts, ultimately stifling diversity of viewpoints and undermining the quality of the group's decision. If you're presiding over this meeting, you should actively manage those dynamics. Ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity to speak by encouraging contributions from all members, especially those who may be less vocal. Set clear ground rules that promote respectful dialogue and discourage interruptions. You can also intentionally invite input from quieter participants and give them the space and time to share their perspectives. By creating an inclusive environment where every voice is valued, you can help break down hierarchical barriers and improve the overall effectiveness of the group's decision-making process. The third condition for the wisdom of the crowd is decentralization of decision-making. In a decentralized system, decision-making authority is distributed across the group rather than being concentrated in the hands of a very few. Once a decision is made by a group, the leader's role shifts from making individual decisions to implementing policies and procedures that ensure the group makes high-quality decisions. This means that leaders must ensure that those who share decision-making power have the necessary expertise on the issues at hand. According to the Condorcet jury theorem, if each member of a group has a better than average chance of making a correct decision, then the probability that the majority decision is correct increases as the sizes of the group grows. If you want to learn more about the Condorcet jury theorem, check out my previous video. This theorem underscores the importance of ensuring that those with decision-making power are well-informed and competent in relevant areas. When decision-making power is decentralized and placed in the hands of knowledgeable individuals, the collective judgment of the group is more likely to be accurate and effective. When the three conditions for the wisdom of the crowd, diversity of thought, independence of opinion, and decentralization of decision-making are met, the crowd can exhibit collective wisdom, where the group's decisions are more informed and balanced than those made by individuals alone. However, when those conditions are not met, the group can easily fall into the trap of groupthink, where the push for consensus overrides critical thinking and leads to flawed and even disastrous decisions. In this case, we don't have the wisdom of the crowds, we have the madness of the crowds. Constructive disagreement is a hallmark of a healthy team. Here, constructive disagreement means openly discussing different opinions with the intent of reaching a better understanding and solutions. It's important to recognize that constant agreement does not necessarily indicate you're making the best decisions. In fact, embracing diverse perspectives and engaging in constructive conflict, where disagreements are used as a tool to challenge ideas and improve decision-making outcomes, are essential for a healthy organization. If your team is always voting the same way, it's worth questioning, are we genuinely in agreement, or are we simply avoiding the tough conversations that lead to real progress?